places. Paradise is supposed to be more amazing and excellent than all of these places. So the reason we covered it is that if we, generally when you read the reviews of something, when you see pictures of a place, when you get it described to you by people, you're like, okay, I need to go there as well. Like, I want to go there as well. It just brings it closer to us. It's something that creates eagerness for us. So I think it's the same kind of thing for paradise. But you see, there's not just paradise. Paradise and hell are two parallels. And we want to be in paradise. But hell is also a reality. And if we don't... You see, hell is where we would just go to by default if we don't care. That's why hell becomes even more important than paradise. Right? Paradise is important, but if we're not aware of hellfire, because paradise is going to create hope in us. When you hear about paradise and who's entering into paradise, who's been allowed into paradise, and so on, you're going to feel like, okay, it's going to expand the hope in us. And I'm saying this personally speaking, it's going to expand the hope in us. So if we're doing at least some good, if I'm praying 5 times a day, and if I'm trying to fast in my Ramadan and do all of that stuff, and then if I do end up doing some sins, I feel like, well, I'm doing good anyway. So what happens is that if you don't have the fear factor, the threat factor, right, then that means that what we're thinking is that the good deeds that we're doing, they're enough, and they're going to give us salvation. So yes, if we're believers, then we can definitely be, inshallah, guaranteed, as long as we stay believers until our death, we're going to be guaranteed paradise one day. But do we want to have a stint in hellfire? Right? Do we want to do that? So how important does it now become to understand hellfire so that it becomes graphically detailed in our minds so that we want to avoid it? Because paradise creates eagerness towards that, but that creates hope. And they say that hope is only good towards the end of your life, when you're about to die, when you're in sickness or something. Otherwise, we need more fear. And I think this is what a lot of people are suffering from. We don't have enough fear. We may have more hope than we have fear, even in many people who are practicing, because we don't have enough discussion about the fear. Fear has to be created in the heart. And as I said, by default, a person is going to go to hellfire if they don't try. Right? I mean, if they're living in a time where there's deen, where there's religion, where there's exposure to Islam, exposure to good deeds, and exposure to goodness and all the rest of it, and if they don't try hard, and if they don't actively try to get to paradise, then we're going to end up in hellfire. I mean, just keep that in mind. That is the default trajectory. Right? We're going to have to end up in hellfire unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives us. But, how can you guarantee that? How do we know that we've got some kind of contract? I mean, you can't have a contract with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like that unless we do good. Then He said, anybody who does good and fulfills all of these things, then we go to paradise. So just remember that hellfire will become... I shudder to think about it now. Right? Hellfire will become our abode if we are not actively trying to get away from it. Right? If we're actively not trying to get away from it. So that's why paradise is important, but hellfire becomes even more important.